But it's time for our weekly segment, Patel It Like It Is, where AB's News contributor Dr. Alok Patel shares health advice on the topics that matter most to you. Today, we're looking at a new study linking cannabis use disorder with a higher risk of developing cardiac issues. So, Dr. Patel, talk about these findings. What stood out most to you?
What stands out most to me, Diane, is the fact that this is adding to a growing body of evidence that there might be some cardiovascular risks to smoking excessive amounts of marijuana. In this specific study, individuals with cannabis use disorder, that diagnosis, were found to have a 60% increased risk of having cardiovascular disease, including heart attacks. Now, it's important to know that this study was done in individuals who actually have this cannabis use disorder and not just recreational smokers. But this is really important findings and something that we should pay attention to as there is increased amounts of marijuana users. There's changes in the laws. There's more dispensaries. There's more accessibilities. And there's a wide variety of products with varying concentrations. And so very concerning. But again, something that we need to pay a broad attention to and realize that this study was not necessarily saying that the marijuana itself was causing it, but that this population who has cannabis use disorder may be at an increased risk. So that conversation needs to happen.
So what's the criteria to classify someone as having a marijuana or cannabis use disorder, and what should they do if they meet that criteria?
Essentially, people who have cannabis use disorder are smoking excessive amounts or consuming excessive amounts of marijuana or cannabis products than they intend to, even if it's at the expense of certain health or social problems. They have trouble quitting, it's interfering with their work, their social lives, perhaps they're having problems at school, etc. And they're getting these unintended consequences. Now, it's important for people to understand that this is not quantified by how much marijuana or how much cannabis you're consuming, rather than the behavior. And according to the CDC, this affects about 30% of cannabis users. And so for anyone out there who has these concerns, it's really important to talk to a healthcare professional, an addiction counselor, a therapist, anyone to try to cut back and see what you can do to better yourself.
All right, now let's get to some viewer questions. Angela from San Francisco writes, my son has a really bad sore throat. How do I know if it's strep throat?
Anyone out there who's had strep throat knows how exquisitely painful it is. And if left untreated, it can lead to some complications. So I'm glad we're talking about this. Now, most sore throats are caused by viruses, but in this case, it's caused by a bacteria called group A streptococcus, hence the name strep throat. And short answer, in order to actually get tested, you have to go to a doctor and get a throat swab. The doctor will then look to see if you have the bacteria. And if you or your family member gets diagnosed and prescribed antibiotics, you want to make sure you take them, because untreated strep throat can lead to complications, even affecting organs like your heart or your kidney. Now, some general symptoms to be on the lookout for strep throat are really exquisite pain with swallowing. You could have some red swollen tonsils, red bumps in the roof of your mouth. Typically, these people will not have a cough, but will also have a high fever. So when in doubt, you want to go and see a healthcare professional.
All right, and Sally from Vallejo, California wants to know, can Pilates help with back lengthening? What about lordosis?
I got to tell you and tell Sally and everyone out there that I am becoming a Pilates fan. I use one of those kind of intimidating contraptions. I think they're called the reformer. And I actually feel great. So I'm glad that there's a question about exercise and how it relates to our posture. Now, Pilates is great for joint health, flexibility, mobility, and improving the foundational muscles of our posture, including our abs, our glute, and the muscles along our spine. Now, I wouldn't want to say that this is necessarily back lengthening as it does in terms of promoting proper alignment. Now, going to that term lordosis, this is referring to an excessive curve in our lower spine. You can imagine that this may cause you to push your hips and your neck forward and your pelvis backwards, which can obviously cause some discomfort and pain. Now, it's important for anyone out there who has pain in their spine, especially if it's inhibiting your mobility, to see a healthcare professional or a physical therapist, because this could be caused by underlying medical conditions. And for anyone out there who wants to take up an exercise regimen, Pilates is great, but so is paying attention to relaxation, flexibility, aerobics, diet, and hydration.
That's a lot to keep track of. Any tips?
The tips is pick a plan that sticks with you and stay motivated. You want to make sure it incorporates into your lifestyle. But hey, having the conversation is the first step. And everyone out there, try yoga or Pilates. It's pretty great.
All right, Dr. Patel, thank you as always. And if you have any questions for Dr. Patel, just leave a message on our Instagram feed. He might answer your question right here on Friday.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.